He should really have been honest with that. And I want to just say that's a cocktail for disaster.
And then here you are, I've told you about this. And then when I'm at my lowest, you're kicking me when I'm down.
We've had 2-3 dates. We're fresh in the relationship. And he starts selling himself, telling me about his Range Rovers.
He's not telling you about the Range Rover.
Well,
You've asked him. You've asked him. Tell me about yourself.
When you're sharing, you apply wisdom. Is it necessary, for example?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our podcast again. Welcome to the podcast on Let's Talk Marriage, the podcast. We are on episode 9 of our podcast, and we are very thankful that you're joining us again, you're subscribing, and you're following us on the channel. And we got another guest today. Got a very lovely lady, a very good friend of mine, who's joined us, and she's gonna engage on the topics that we're gonna talk about. And hopefully, you're gonna enjoy and join us and subscribe and share. Thank you. Our guest today is Lady Grace. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you very much for having me on the podcast.
Good to have you. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too.
You look well.
Always.
Yeah.
But thank you.
How have you been? You good?
I've been good. It's been busy, but I'm not complaining. I'm grateful. Always grateful for life and everything.
Amen. It was very hard to get hold of you.
I know.
We had to move schedules about. We had to, get things working so that you could be here.
Lady Grace is a busy lady.
I know.
Yes.
And we're very thankful that you came and you're able to join us.
Thank you.
So we got a busy time ahead, and I can't wait to hear what you got for us. I can't wait. I know that
you know that Lady Grace can talk for.
You're an expert on a lot of things, and when I saw you talking a while ago at a different platform, I was very impressed, and I thought I could have you on our podcast. Could have you on our show.
Oh wow, that's humbling. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, so we're talking about marriages. That's what we deal with all the time. From the first episode, we started off, and we've come actually quite a long way. So we're on episode 9.
Wow.
And the response has been really good. People are subscribing, people are watching.
Amazing.
And when I meet people around, they tell me how they're happy, how they're blessed. It's things that they need to hear, and these are things that they help them in the marriage. I didn't know that until I started doing it, and it's actually quite really good. It's helping people out there, and I'm so amazed.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
I'm so amazed. It's something else. Today we're talking about how honest do we need to be in your relationship. In your marriage, in this case, how honest do you need to be with your partner? What you need to let them know, especially after you've decided this is the partner you want to be with, this is the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. Firstly, do you want to be honest with them right from the beginning, or is it something that you want to open up as you go along in your relationship? So I'm not sure what your thoughts are. How honest do you think one needs to be in a marriage? You as the lady. I don't know. I'll probably give you my views on the male aspect. But
from a lady's point of view, and I'm assuming for both points of view, as in from a man and a woman's point of view, it's important, thoroughly important, that we are honest with each other from the get-go. And I think my take is we have to open up. We have to get to the real deal in the beginning of the relationship, because I think you did mention that, do we hold back? Do we wait until we get into maybe marriage and then start to open up? I find a lot of danger. There's a lot of risk in holding back, because some truths can actually have such adverse effects on your relationship. I've heard through interactions with various people, friends and family, where a truth has not been disclosed in time. So, and I'll just say this, obviously I'm not going to mention names, but I'm aware of a relationship where the husband or the husband to be was actually in a relationship with the sister of that very lady, but he'd never mentioned it, and he never thought it necessary to mention it. I'm thinking they're probably living in different cities or something, but he never mentioned this. He knew At some point, he got to know that this new lady was actually a sister to the other lady that he was dating. And they got married. And it was only after they got married, sort of, getting along in the relationship, that, she stumbled upon this information. And,
So how did that go? I mean, what happened then? How did the lady in question
it
deal
went
with it?
terribly wrong. It went terribly wrong because that was not only betrayal on, his side, but also on the sister, because I think she also felt like, the sister should have said something. She knew who, the sister was dating, this is sister too, and, they knew what was going on, but nobody had actually taken time or considered it necessary. We think there's small things, but, in the real crunch of things, those things can make or break a relationship, because you held that kind of, it's very sensitive information, and I can understand, but, is that the only thing you're holding back? So already now, it's opening a can of worms. Do I have to, go back and check everything that you have said? Have you been really truthful? Have you been honest with me? Or now that I have discovered it, you're trying to make amends. So for that and many other reasons, it's very, very important that right from the beginning, we this comes up in conversations, because what are people doing when they're dating? We're supposed to be having conversations, not about my nice hair or how good you look. I mean, it's part of the conversations, but the real conversations are, we need to get to know each other. How was this guy raised? How was this lady raised? What was the home setting like? Does he have siblings? How does he relate how did he relate then, or even now? How is he relating with his siblings? What's the relationship with the mom and dad like? Did he grow up in a single parent home? Did he grow up, in a complete home? There's lots of things, Where did he go to school? What are his friends like? What does he like? Are there any things that trigger him? There's a whole lot of things that we need to be having conversation about. And why are we having these conversations? We want to know. I want to know who this guy is, because a lot of the things, my education, my family, the environment I live in, the exposures I've had over the years actually mold me into a certain type of person. The person that you see today has not been made today. The person that I am today is a sum total of all those things that have happened to me. And for you to be able to fully understand me, you need to have an insight into those things so that you're better placed to be able to then take me on as a spouse, and then we grow together going forward.
I think that's a good point, but I think sometimes some honesty can be detrimental. It's good to be honest so that your partner knows how they can help you.
Sure.
Why you get angry sometimes.
Yes.
Why you're down. Why you do some things that you do.
Yeah.
It could, we call them childhood traumas.
Oh yes. You know what I mean?
How you are the way you are, so that if they know that, then they can be able to help you,
sure.
Or they can be able to work around it. They don't also get angry when they see you doing some stuff.
Absolutely.
Why are you crying? Men don't cry. I don't things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then again, there's the other flip side where if you say too much, it comes again to bite you. I don't know.
Yeah.
You say some stuff, and then the spouse will be like, okay, they use it as a stick to beat you with.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line?
It's a delicate one again, because it's where do you get the balance? Because you're trying to get the balance, because like you rightly said, too much information can actually then become detrimental, because, for example, if this guy's been a serial dater.
Yeah, exactly. Is it something you want to tell your partner? I had girlfriends. And then maybe when you're getting intimate, and then you want to do something, and then they'll be thinking, oh, where did you learn that? Oh, okay.
Yes.
You know too much. Is that really something I can deal with?
Yeah. Right. This is from a Christian point of view, because I'm Christian and I have a faith, and obviously we are guided by the Bible, the Word of God. That's our standard, So how do we deal with these things from a Christian point of view? It's great, to be honest, to be transparent. It's good that we open up and share things. But I want to say that I think it's important that when you're sharing, you apply wisdom. Is it necessary, for example, for me, let me talk about from, my point, my end, to tell my husband to be that I've dated 10 men before him. You know what I mean? You have to apply wisdom. Yes, I've had relationships. They didn't quite work out. And so I found myself here with you. I'm not hiding it. I've disclosed that I've been in other relationships. But I think when you start to then talk about figures, body counts are not healthy for relationships. And like you rightly said again, people tend to then come back and slap you back with that information that you have given them. So it's about applying wisdom. We want to keep it real. We want to be, godly. It's a godly approach that we're using here. But we have to be very careful or mindful of those things that we're sharing. Oversharing may not be healthy going forward. You just have to choose how you share. Then again, also being cognizant of the fact that some of this information that you don't share could just rock up somewhere from a friend, from a relation, it could just come up. So you have to then be in a position to be able to tackle it. You need to be prepared. It might come up, and if it does come up, then you are applying wisdom to respond to that.
So saying that, on that point actually, something coming up. So how about medical, financial issues, status?
Absolutely.
Do you think that's something that you need to be completely honest with?
Yes.
Right from the word
yes, go? No word of doubt on that one. Why? Why is it important? So, for example, you mentioned health. Is there a genetic condition in the family? Are they diabetics? Are they hypertensive? It's important to know these things. We're not delving into that to judge people. Nobody chooses those things. Those things happen because things happen to people. But we need to be aware so that we know how we move forward. Is it a health condition that will affect our babies? The new ones that are going to come in, and if it is, how do we work around it? Do we need to be getting professional advice? Do we go and see doctors, or, we need guidance in those things. So if your spouse then withholds that information, somewhere along the line, you're going to find yourself in real trouble. And it then becomes difficult because now, why did you not disclose this? And health matters are serious. They're absolutely serious. This could be, okay, let me actually go a bit deeper on that. What if somebody has actually picked up or contracted sexually transmitted disease, and they don't disclose that to their partner or spouse to be, what are we doing? How do you live with that, knowing that you've got the situation? We're not judging. We're not judging at all. Be open, be honest. This is my situation and I'm getting help. This is how I'm getting help. And, and at that point, you've got that option to actually go, well, actually, I think this is where we end this thing, or I'm happy to keep going in this relationship as long as you actually stick to that. Are you going to the doctors, you're getting help and all that. So, yeah,
How about if you're a person who got problem with temper, anger? Is this something you disclose in the beginning, or do you let it ride, and then when it turns up, then maybe you talk about it, or you tell your spouse, and then maybe you seek help, or you're seeking help? Because something like anger, if you got a problem with anger, and they say, you're dating first or second dates, anything that I need to know? Yeah, I got a problem with anger. Okay, how do you think that's going to go? That probably, they're not going to have a third date.
It depends, because I may have another issue, which is not anger, And if I'm serious, you see, because again, it comes down to, am I serious about this relationship? Why should that one thing be a showstopper? I would want to understand if that was, if I was the lady with that sort of person, I want to understand, you've got anger issues, what are the triggers? Is there a history to that anger? And what do you do when you get angry? Is there anything I need to be particularly looking out for? And, I need to get that information to be able to make a decision. I can't just judge him because he's got anger issues. What if I have mood swing issues? I have mood swings, and he judges me for mood swings. How would that work? There's got to be a good balance. But I think, in my case, I would want to take time to understand, what is this? Is this an ongoing? Is it something temporal? Because sometimes it's breakdowns in life that bring these things on people. It may not necessarily be a long-term thing. Maybe in the last year or 6 months, things have not been going well at work. He's challenged at work. Or maybe it's the relationship breakdown with mom or dad or sibling, and it's just triggering him like that. So he's angry. But I don't want to think that we can judge him for that. And I don't want to think as well that he may not be able to mend himself. So I would want to understand that, and it's up to me, to then say, well, do I want? Can I? Going forward, what is the risk? When he gets angry, does he break things? When he gets angry, does he get a knife and want to, you know what I mean? So once I've understood, the issues around that anger situation, I'm better placed to then make a decision. We're not saying people should just throw themselves in the deep like that. But I think let's get clarity first. Let's get information first before we judge and make decisions.
I think it goes back to my first point when I said you're honest and then you're too honest, so to speak, and then you end up being used as a stick to beat with. Because I know someone who was like that. They went to their spouse and they told them about this anger issue. Was it anger issue, or was it something about why they behave in a certain way? Maybe I think they needed a bit of assurance. Like when you're down, you need someone to, Grace, it's gonna be all right.
Yes,
it's gonna be fine. Don't worry, you can do it. They never got that when they were growing up. They never got that from their parents.
Yes,
it's something that they had up. It became a trauma.
Yeah,
it was a trauma for them. But when they met the spouse, after a little while, the spouse just couldn't take it. Can't understand why you keep on breaking down. Can't understand why you're not man enough. Can't understand why you have to keep on. Do you know what I mean? Man up. You're man. And of course, how is that gonna help? So, what would you say to that? I mean, you've been honest and you said to your spouse, this is how I am. This is how I would like to be handled because this is a delicate issue. This is what I've had to go through when I was growing up. I never had reassurance from my mom or my dad or whatever. I was never told that I could amount to anything. I was never shown that, you can do it.
Yeah.
And then here you are, I've told you about this. And then when I'm at my lowest, you're kicking me when I'm down.
Right. Okay. All right. So I'm just thinking right now, he's got this trauma. We've called it trauma, right? Are we babysitting that trauma, or are we actually doing something about it? Because when he's saying, how, you should understand me, this is how I am, and, I wasn't expecting you to be like this because I've had the situation. No disrespect to the trauma, what caused the trauma. He's had mum and dad issues, right? Fairly understandable, right? But what has been done to overcome that? Because I always sort of, I feel that when people are traumatized, when things have happened in life, we need to be reaching out. We need to be getting help. So is he getting help? It's one thing to be traumatized, but it's another to be actually doing something about it to overcome that trauma. Because there are, there's help out there. There's professionals who can deal with those things. In church settings, we have pastors, we have ministers who do counseling. There's so many places where people can reach out. So has he reached out? Is he reaching out? Or does he want to babysit his trauma for the rest of his days? Of which then I would be struggling if he's wanting to babysit that situation. It's not healthy for me as his partner, and it's not healthy for him either, and when you're coming into a relationship, because we're all coming in from different environments, different backgrounds, we all come with our baggage, but when we come into this relationship, we're saying it's now about the two of us, and we're committing to each other. There's going to be compromise, in everything that we do, but it's important. It's very, very important that we know that we've got issues, but we are doing something about those issues, as opposed to bugging them. He's got anger issues, I've got mood swing issues, and we just put them on the side. And where are we going with that?
I like that. Actually, like that's a very good point. I never thought of it that way, to be honest. So would it be like, if I've told you I'm your spouse, we are meant to get married, or we are getting to this. If I told you, if you come to me and you tell me that, am I expecting now you to help me get the help, or are you expecting now I should have gotten help before I go to you, or I should be in the process of getting help? Where are we with this in terms of what do you call it? In terms of your baggage and my baggage, because sometimes this baggage thing, I think
it's real.
It can be a problem.
Yes.
Because how much of that baggage are you, as the spouse, how much do you think you can take? Because there's a baggage of maybe you've got a child outside that relationship and you've come into that's different. But these are the issues of excess baggage you're carrying with you. Do you think that the person should be completing themselves before they meet you, or are they a work in progress where now you're working towards that, them being complete?
Yeah,
do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think that it's important to be whole in the first place. One needs to be whole. So before I embark on a relationship, there has to be an element of self-awareness. I need to know. I know, and a lot of people do know, but they never probably admit it. I know my issues. I know what triggers me. I know what doesn't trigger me. I know where I'm falling short, But I would hate to go into a relationship with that baggage. I'm aware of it. What am I doing about that baggage? It's no good. And just pride in I've got baggage. I need to be whole. If this relationship, if this marriage is going to be healthy, is going to be enjoyable, we need two whole people coming together and committing to this journey in wholeness. Broken pieces, you're broken, I'm broken, and we're trying to piece what together, because it's just broken pieces, So it could be, I want to just backtrack and go, so if this trauma maybe has not been dealt with, I'm not judging. I'm going to say, okay, I will, do some investigation. Have you tried to get help? And if not, was there a reason why you didn't get help? And are you willing to get help? Or I know somebody who can help. So I'm kind of putting it out there on the table. I want to be open like that. I want him to know that I'm not judging him. I get that he's got issues, but I'm willing, because I want this. I want this relationship to work, and I want to help him mold. I want a whole person in that relationship. So, I would want to understand, this baggage, the nature of this baggage. And if he has, some would say, actually, I've been attending therapy. I'm getting help. Where are we at with that therapy? What's the progress and things like that. And then we're making decisions. However, it could be baggage as in children from a previous relationship. Maybe marriage relationship, maybe just, outside of marriage, again, that needs to be laid out on the table. We need to know, what is the arrangement? So he's got a child, he's got children. What is the arrangement around those children? Is he living with the children? What are the dynamics, with the mother of the children? Are they co-parenting? Who has the children or what? You need to understand that. You can't undo that, unfortunately.
There's this couple who got married, and just talking about that issue of kids and being honest with parenting and kids outside of a relationship and so on. They were married for X amount of time, and then suddenly it appears that the guy had a child from a different relationship. And this lady didn't know about it, and obviously he had nothing. He was not involved in the life of the child,
right.
But he knew that the child was there before.
Okay.
But now it comes to light. The mother of the child now wants this guy to get involved in this child,
Right.
And then he says, for you to get involved, you got to tell your wife about the child. And this child is probably in their teenage years now. So, how would you deal with something like that? Now, this is a few years down the line into the marriage.
Right.
This has come to light. The person wasn't open to you. We talk about openness, isn't it? The person hasn't come to you and told you, by the way, I have a child, whether or not, the child's life, whether mother wants me to get involved with the child or no. That's a different issue. But X amount of years down the line, the mother of the child wants you to get involved, and she says, for you to get involved in the life of this child, you need to let your wife know.
Yeah. Which is obviously the right thing. But my head is racing because I'm thinking, he's known about this child. Was that when the mother got pregnant? Was that after the baby came and she announced that there was a baby in that relationship? I want to understand, why has that been a secret? And we're saying this is down, years down the line in a new relationship, in a marriage relationship, and you've kept that very sensitive information to yourself. You can't wish kids away. You can't. So, he should really have been honest with that. And I want to just say that's a cocktail for disaster. That's a real cocktail for disaster. And I think a lot of marriages break down or encounter challenges around children, whether there's children from previous relationships or children that are coming in the middle of a current, this fresh relationship. So it's, I would question his integrity. I'm going to question everything now, because you can hide a previous girlfriend. You can hide the fact that you were bankrupt, it's at some point. There's things that you can hopefully try and get away with. But that child is forever a part of his life. So what is he hoping to happen? So I would land that on his legs, on his two feet. He's got issues. But now he's creating issues for me as well, because maybe for the past 5-10 years, we've been having a good relationship. We've been good together like that. And suddenly this thing comes up and rears its head. And I can't say, well, I don't want to know, because that would be wrong of me. And from a Christian point of view, you're straying from what you believe as a Christian. But I'm distracted already, because is this the only child? Did you hide the child because you're still in a relationship with the mother? Are there many more children I need to be looking out for? Am I going to be checking who you're talking to? Am I on your phone now it damages relationships. Trust is a small word, but with very big and serious consequences, and once trust is lost, it takes a long time for people to actually heal and come back to a place where they can fully trust again. So that's a big mistake on his part.
Would that be a big issue for you? Would that be a make or break, do you think? Just for anyone?
Yeah, I'm sad to say it can be a make or break for a lot of people. It takes wisdom. It takes God. And it may even take therapy or, the involvement of family, or professionals to actually get you to a place where, he's holding his hands up and saying, look, yes, I was wrong. I should have done this. And I'm getting to a place where okay, this was really messed up. But, I want to still choose us. So I choose to forgive you. But, I want to be sure now, going forward, is this one-off hurdle, or am I preparing myself for more hurdles to come? Because you've hidden this big thing from me. What else are you hiding, or what else are you going to hide? So you see the kind of thing that it creates. You're just opening up a can of worms. So even when I have no reason to not trust you, now I'm just thinking, I'm questioning everything. I'm questioning everything in the relationship. And so instead of, being in this happy relationship where we've been enjoying life, I'm not happy anymore. I'm taking a step back. So I'm not now giving my all to you, because now there's this barrier, invisible barrier, where I don't trust this guy. I don't know who he is suddenly, yeah. So yeah, that would be a big mistake to make.
So how about financial? How much of finances do you think should be disclosed? When I say finances, how much of maybe debts you have should you disclose? How much of property you bought should you want your spouse to know so that she can start, thinking, okay, we got a gold mine here. How many people are you supporting? Your parents?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Someone you're taking to school, whatever they may be here,
Yeah.
So how much do you think your spouse needs to know? Because I know there's men who would not want the spouse to know how much property they got.
Yeah, and I understand. I get why we've come to that place now where men, because it's mostly men, are not willing to disclose, what they're really worth, because a lot of them have been taken advantage of. Yes, there's women who've come into relationships and then found out that, this guy owns half of the city of London, and so actually it's worth my while.
Yeah.
I may not necessarily be that in love with him, but I'm in love with what he's worth, So because of that, you can understand why people hold back. But it's not a healthy setting.
So hold that thought for a minute. I'll get back to that. So at what point in the relationship, when you're still, courting, yeah? Do you want to disclose as a spouse? Okay, probably as a man in this case. Do I need to say, oh, by the way, yeah, I do own a Range Rover, I do own this, and I've got... At what point do you need to disclose that? For you to know that it's actually the love that's brought, just what you're saying there, that's brought this spouse to me, this lady to me, or is it just not just the love now she's, because I'm financially able, that's what's made her kind of,
Yeah, I think
give her a bit more, on the edge now. Got more credit in the bank.
I think if a guy was to start selling himself off like that, we've had 2-3 dates, we're fresh in the relationship, and he starts selling himself, telling me about his Range Rovers.
He's not telling you about the Range Rover.
Well,
you've asked him. You've asked him. Tell me about yourself. What do I need to know about yourself? Tell me about what do you do? What do you,
Yes.
what do you make? What do you do for a living? How do you, It's just a general question.
All right. I think if he's a modest guy, he's going to tell me, he drives. He doesn't have to, because I think we then start to miss the point here. Yes, he's got a Range Rover, but it's not about the Range Rover. When I'm asking questions, tell me about yourself. I don't want to know what color the Range Rover is. I don't know. I want to know about you first.
Okay,
the person that you
yeah,
are.
okay, you've asked me a question. I've had this, it's a big thing. I've seen this a lot, and we always told start as you mean to go on. So, someone comes to me, they say, oh, hi, Chris, yeah, okay. Oh, we're starting to date, we've seen each other, I don't know, whatever number of dates, 3-4 dates. Yeah, what do you do? Oh, yeah, I own a company. Oh, okay, what does the company do? I employ people. Okay, people work for me, yeah. What kind of company? It's blue chip. Yeah, we do. Already, you're setting yourself up for this person to start looking at how much money you got. You haven't told them. You're not bragging. You're just being open and saying, "This is what I do. This is." So how are you meant to start? Hi, yeah, I live in a little cubicle. I
Not
make ends meet. So.
Not necessarily. I just feel like we have to take it in steps. I don't think it's healthy early on in a relationship to start disclosing too much information, right? Because the reason why we're together is not because of the assets or what is, the dollar value attached to us. It's about two people having a connection and wanting to establish a relationship. So in the first instance, it should be about just getting to know the person. Yes, if he mentions that, he's got a company, I don't think that it's at that point that we need to know the figures. What's the balance sheet looking like? It's not relevant, because then he's setting himself up to be taken advantage of. And I think there's certain kinds of information or pieces of information that should only be disclosed when you know that we are locking into something here. There's no point in telling every guy that you meet or every woman that you meet, I own a Range Rover, I have this company, and I'm worth £2 million. And and then 3 months down the line, they're not seeing this 2 million coming their way, so they walk away. They move on to the next one. So it's being able to assess. It's being sensitive to where we are in the relationship. Are we getting serious? Are we getting to a place where we're now talking marriage? And so obviously when we're talking marriage, that's the time we actually need to lay our cards on the table. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. are you still okay to move forward with this? But if you're just, 2-3 months into the relationship and you're telling me your net worth and all that, that's messed up. That's messed up. Because then, we could look at it differently and go, is he telling me his net worth so that, because I've asked the question, but he needs to apply wisdom. But if he then tells me he's worth 2 million, is he trying to win me because of 2 million? Or, what is it? So it's a fine line. But I think people have to be mindful at what stages in the relationship we're disclosing what pieces of information. We're not saying hide, but there's a time and place for everything.
I can tell you from a man's point of view, I don't think, unless this woman is the man is punching above his weight, so to speak, I can tell you there's not a lot of men who would want to sell themselves like that in terms of show their net worth so that the person might like them. They probably want to do it the other way. Not show anything at all and see how this person is first without them knowing what they're like, and then say, oh, okay, that's what they like me for. Oh, okay. And then when the spouse discovers this is like, they'll be pleasantly surprised. Oh, okay.
Exactly.
So,
and that's how it should be, because we should be taking the focus off the material things, of everything else that's attached to us. In the first instance, we should be working on the relationship itself. We get to a place where we're solid, and then now we start opening up. Otherwise, you're opening up to everybody in London.
Yeah. So do you think silence in terms of not disclosing everything about yourself, being open, do you think that's being dishonest?
I don't think you're being dishonest. You're just taking your time. You're pacing yourself. Because you haven't lied. You didn't tell a lie. You just have not got to a place where you're comfortable and confident enough to disclose that kind of information. So it's not dishonest. It's just applying wisdom. Being mindful, because it's cruel out there. A lot of people are taking advantage of people, and not just being men taking advantage. It works both ways, and so we have to tread carefully. So I would say it's not being dishonest. It's just applying wisdom and knowing the right time to disclose your sensitive bits of information.
As we just come to a close now in a minute, do you think there is when someone is open or not open, as the case may be, do you think it's more of a way of them trying to get their needs met, or emotionally trying to satisfy their needs to their partner, as in, this is how I am, maybe then can you make me complete, in the sense of I need this, so I'm coming to you to give me that part where I can be complete. Does that make sense?
So they're not being open. Are you saying they're not being open, or
depending on the level of openness they have in what they're telling you? Okay, for instance, let's say emotional in terms of their temperament or the trauma, how they were brought up. I know you spoke about maybe getting help and so on. So if I come to you and I like you and we're gonna get married, for instance, and I start opening up to my traumas, how I was brought up, maybe how I was being beaten to stupor by my mom. And this that's happened to a lot of us.
Oh yes.
And you still start to wonder whether are these my parents, or are they going to take me back
to my real parents?
To my real parents. Do you know what I mean? And that you've carried that all
your life.
So and I meet you now, and now I expect you to kind of be the mother that I didn't have.
Right.
To kind of now.
Right.
Help me out. So is that your job? Do you think that? Am I coming to you so that you can make me complete, or should I be completing myself before I meet you?
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think it's healthy. The best place is I would rather have you complete before you come. But then if it's a case where you've been hiding from your trauma and now you've come to a place where you trust me enough, you're confident that actually I can help you with this trauma, then fair enough, we take it from there, but it's I don't know, it's really I'm just trying to see, like, if he's not addressed this trauma, right? If he's carried this trauma, because like you said, you gave an example about maybe he was being beaten up, maybe, I want to call them mum and dad issues. If he's had those issues and he's now coming to me and expecting me to mother him out. Is that what we're saying? That he's expecting some kind of support or reassurance? There's no harm in that. But I'm not really supposed to be mothering him. I'm there to support him. I don't have a problem with supporting him. But how have we come to this place where?
The thing is, I think listen to you, a lot of stuff you said earlier. I don't think a lot of, like this trauma thing, a lot of people don't know where to seek help. They don't know what to do. So if I've lived all of this all my adult life and I've got married at whatever, 30, maybe in my 30s or whatever, and this is there, I might not know that this is something I needed to deal with until maybe I meet you, and then now all this now comes out. Now it looks like, this is an issue we need to deal with. But I didn't know that I could. It's something I could have dealt with. Okay. I didn't know where I could have sought help, so to speak. And especially this being having issues with the parents, or like if you're a man and you have your mom who treated you in a bad way, if you like, bad as in beating you up or making, and then you've grown up with that, and then when you meet your lady, and then now suddenly, not even though you're meeting your lady, you've grown up, and then you have an issue, you have a problem with women.
Right. Yes. Yes.
You see, you have a problem with women.
People project.
Yeah. So it comes from there, but you don't know that that's a problem until maybe you meet someone. Now I meet you now, and then now you start talking. Okay, how was your growing up? How was your childhood? And then I start explaining, and then like, okay, I see where this is coming from. But me as a man, I didn't know that was an issue I needed to address. I didn't know that's an issue that who do I have to go to get help? Can you see? So when I come to you, maybe I expect now you to complete me, not to mother me, but.
Yes. So I think the expectation that I complete you, in terms of that trauma is a bit sketchy, because, if it's trauma, we need to get it sorted. We need to make sure. And so I understand that maybe, like you rightly said, this guy didn't know he's had those issues, but just didn't realize that this is what happened. This is the person that he's become. He's a product of that trauma, So now because of me in the relationship, I'm picking up on things, and then maybe he then realizes, actually, I've got issues, right? So we start from there. I'm there to support him. I'm there to guide him. But we are not supposed to, because, when we say mothering, it sounds like we're just babysitting this thing. We don't want to babysit the trauma. We want to deal with the trauma. So yes, because again, we shouldn't be judging people. We shouldn't be judging. We're all coming from different backgrounds. We've had different experiences. And so people are a product of those experiences. So if I truly love this guy, and I want this relationship to work, I'm not going to judge him. I'm going to say, right, okay, so this is what we're dealing with. And I'm going to speak with love, right? Because also if I'm just going to go, well, you need to go and get help, I'm not helping the situation. I'm actually judging now. So I need to be speaking to him with love. Where would you like us to start? I know of this, or would you like me to go with you? Or, how do you think that you can be supported with this thing? So you also get his input, instead of just prescribing, well, you need to get help because this is what, we approach it from an angle of love.
So, and do you think that's fair on you as a woman, that you have to do that you've met this person and now you're having to do all these things where you're having to help him in a situation where you'd rather he have been complete when he met you? Do you think it's fair on you, or does it go down to how much you love the person that you really want to help them?
We could reverse the roles and it could have been the other way around. I think we don't want to talk about it being fair or not. Do I love him enough? Do I love him enough to support him? Because we said he didn't know. And even if he knew, maybe he's known about the situation and never really had the guts to confront it, or just didn't know what to do with himself. I love this guy. I'm committed. We're talking marriage, right? So I'm going to do the best that I can. So it stops being a question of, is it fair? I think the question would be, do I love him? Do I love him or not? Do we stop it here? Then I don't love this guy. I was never really serious. Or, actually, I love this guy and I want this thing to work. So I'm going to do my best, because we're two individuals. He's got his individuality and I've got mine. Just the fact that we're dealing with his trauma. But what about me? Are we then suggesting that I'm whole, I'm complete, and I don't have issues? There could be other things there lingering with me. And even if they wasn't, where is the love? Remember, Christian relationships, we're talking from a godly perspective. The love is unconditional. Jesus' love is unconditional for us. And so in the same manner, we treat our relationships in that Christ-like manner. It's unconditional. We don't judge people. We embrace, we love, and we do the best that we can to help them. If we love them, if we truly love them. Amen.
We'll have to have you again. You are amazing.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
We could go on and on and on
yes,
and on.
I know.
It's amazing. It's amazing to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for having me.
And hopefully we'll see you again.
Yes, hopefully.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you for your time. Subscribe to our channel. Let's Talk Marriage, the podcast. That's on all the socials, on Instagram, on TikTok, and on YouTube. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.